right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to some, what is it, Tuesday? Tuesday evening musings, yes. Still on the new era, hanging out in the realm. Uh, I don't even know what the name for this is, but it is the level that my kids and I play on. I mean, mostly me still, not gonna lie, but like that's our house. We each have our own level and all that, so it is pretty cool. This is the temple that I'm building. That's a gigantic mob grinder that I've built, and a roller coaster going around it. I wanted to see how big the. Sorry, I'm like taking all sorts of credit for all sorts of things. I'm not trying to like make it like the kids do some amazing things. In fact, let me show you. I know I just did this just a couple episodes ago, but bear with me. It deserves repeating. This is what my son built. He's already doing better at redstone than me. I mean, in fact, I'll show you my little kerfuffle. And that one's not perfect either. He only did it one unit, but he watched the video and then he did it. I watched a video and I try to, I don't know why it's silly, like trying not to quote unquote cheat, but you're still looking at a video to begin with. And this works if it's not connected to the other side. But the problem is I want it to work for both sides. And I think that's just kind of like something that I've done. Even looking at like what's different than the other, I mean, are they completely even? I forget what I even know to do, but this is also from a video. So, and just how that's set up is it's supposed to turn. I wonder if. See if I had a button. I don't know. Wait, what do I need for a button? And should I be using oak? Not really. Ugh, all of this for. Okay, whatever, it's one button. So we need that, and then we need that. Maybe two buttons. I'm just wondering if we have to prime it somehow. No, it doesn't work. Because I was thinking, like, I mean, so that one's off, and that's currently on. And so that's kind of like one of the variables that can be changed in this thing. Because, like, all of the arms are extended as it is. The current state of this machine, because it is a state machine, it has certain states. Like, at this state, it's that. And then you push the buttons, and it's supposed to collapse, or they're all supposed to collapse into the piston part. And there's going to be blocks here, so this is just measured out to where they need to finally end up, because it's just a model to kind of understand what's going on. And as you can see, there's no charge through that redstone. There is charge through that one, and then that's somehow important, that it's like on the side, and it's equidistant from each side, a mirror image. And when you step on these pressure plates, it charges that, which uncharges, it discharges that one. So thinking in computer science, that would be 0, that would be 1, that's also 1, and that's 0, that's 1. And so the current state with these attributes of that's 0, that's 1, 1, 1, powers this. And really, this is the ultimate thing. So all of this other nonsense doesn't really matter. I mean, you can do any number of things on the outside of that, but once you get to this scope or this layer or this part of it, this is what powers these. Well, at least this powers this one and this one. And then this redstone torch powers this one and this one, because it's also powering the block above it. So it's the adjacent blocks and the block above it, which is why they're extended currently. So anyways, and even after all that, like there's just some little thing I got to tweak in here or whatever and just mess with it. We're not going to do that right now. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about online voting. And we're going to talk about, oh, I also left that button somewhere. Let's put the button there for why not? So anyways, no, what we're going to do is we're going to work on kind of building a memorial area to thank the people whose shoulders I'm standing upon. All the people that have died just in my life that I know, and the people that don't get to be here, because you got to give back some of your time, some of your efforts to the land and show respect. So, we are going to show some respect. Not trying to sound like a mafioso or anything, but that really is at the basis of everything. It's a level of respect or disrespect. And that's why I keep pushing the online voting thing, because I feel like online voting would allow for everyone, first off, to feel seen and heard. And that is a very important thing. That's a very big thing that's going on with a lot of different social circles right now, is like this emphasis on, I see you, I hear you, I hear what you're saying, or I get it, but this, or something, or here's where my thinking goes. Something like that. And it's just a way of setting the stage or cleaning the palette of being like, you know what, I respect you, and this is my thoughts on, or these are my thoughts on it. What do you think? It's instead of it's like, here, let me tell you everything, and you don't get, because even in just little micro situations, like it's really easy to not feel seen and heard, and then you feel offended. You're like, wait, they're not taking the time to consider my position, or they haven't shown me the respect to actually look at the situation and see if they even have the correct assumption or idea of what's going on. I know that's pretty vague, but it's intentionally vague because I mean it is supposed to be like a one size fits all. It's human nature to react quickly, try to be our own detectives and see what's going on. And then, and emotions too. Whether we've had enough to eat, we've had enough sleep, we have a comfortable place to be doing these things, like, where we're free of guilt or free of shame or free of like worries or stress, like, and it's all these things. And this expands into business. It's not just, well, technically, I do all this stuff for cybersecurity because it does still fall back to social engineering of a positive nature. Whereas currently, and what I studied in a boot camp, a cyber boot camp, was social engineering of a negative nature where they manipulate emotions and concerns and feelings to try to either get a free pass to gain some access or to try to annoy somebody. Like a good example is the crying baby. Oh, and now if enough people have seen that, and these things are at like hackathons, DEF CON, and like all these places where they show off, they exhibit different ways that they can hack things, and some good, some bad, and a lot of like both sides go to these hacking conventions to learn how to do crime better and how to prevent crime better. And at the end of the day, if everybody had a voice, I think everybody would be able to agree on what's crime and what's not. Although, and that's the scary thing too. So we need to prime them, not brainwash them, not be like, okay, but they need to be able to see the macro level picture of, oh, that's why this is. Because if they don't get the full picture, and the best example of that is that meme where it's a picture, it's like a shadow of, well, there's a couple of them. There's like, it's the idea that if you just slide the view over to the left a little, you'll see a person drinking water. And there's some people, oh, I should have done some stairs out of those. Um, and some person is drinking water, maybe a refugee or someone in a war zone. I mean, it looks like somebody that really needs a drink of water right then. Okay. Then you slide the picture back over to the right a little bit, and oh, wait, what's this? It's a person holding a gun to their head, forcing them to drink. Like, okay, well, that just got dark, and that just changed the story. Like, what's really going on here? Oof, maybe it's not as pleasant as it initially seemed. Now, and the same goes with politics, and it's so easy to see with politics. As much as I dislike, and see right there, a lot of it is fueled by misunderstandings. I dislike one of the presidential candidates, one, two, three, four, for many reasons. Some of it is envy. Some of it is like, man, it must be nice to just be handed, 100, what was it? No, it was like $300 million, I think, is how much he inherited from his parents. And that's like the biggest shoulders to stand on. It's like, phew, well, what else do you want to do with life? I mean, you literally have nothing to worry about for the rest of your life. I mean, you could make every poor decision out there and you'll still come out on top. Like, stuff like that. You'll never have to worry about struggles and problems like subways. That's a good example because you hear about such colorful stories on the subway. People using the restroom in public and rats and food, and it's just a free for all of like, well, that's where, since it's free and available to the public, that's also where a lot of people kind of enjoy or endure some hard times. Not enjoy, but I mean, and that's the other thing to remember. Let's see, is people living on the streets or housing insecure and all that. It is just temporary. Like almost always, it's temporary. One, two, three, four. The only times it's not is if, death happens or like everybody's capable of getting back on their feet. They just need like a period of sobriety. And sobriety, that's kind of a loose term too, because it's really just a period away from alcohol. Um, because that's the slippery slope for everything else, and it sucks because it's such a fun thing to do and it's so accepted in society if you're not having problems. Now if you're having problems, buckle up, buttercup, you're in for a ride, like, and the worse the problems, the more interesting your experience is. So until you hit rock bottom, and you probably will, because it's just the inertia and a combination of that and just how alcohol functions. Anyways, online voting, we got way off topic here, but it is exciting, because what I've been doing is still on the X app, doing a little social engineering and not trying to trick people too. This isn't like, here, look at me, I'm getting away with something. Like I'm tricking these people. No, it's just I'm communicating with people, one, two, three, four, in effective ways that have purpose. I'm talking with intent to change their mind or at least give them an alternate perspective that allows them to consider other possibilities. Again, intentionally very vague because it is like a one size fits all. It's like we get so heated up about politics, especially, and religion, because communication, like you don't have time. And even if you did have time, or if you say it, because, think about anyone who's been a door to door, people spreading the word of Jesus, like, that's why it's almost never met with, happiness and peace. Like, oh yeah, come on in. I've been curious or whatever. Unless they really are, they're lonely, or they're, like, whoever the stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home dad, like, just doesn't really socialize a lot. And that's changing too, which is beautiful. Like, more stay-at-home dads. But anyways, there's inertia there, so it's hard to like really be successful for a while. But anyways, no, because it's like, how do you fit one, two, three, four? Like, it's a big book. It's complicated. It's hard to read. Like, it's up to interpretation. It's not even really what they said. Like, it's been translated and like, well, this means this, and it's been used in this context in other areas. So there's a lot of room for error. I mean, that doesn't mean like it's completely like, oh, hail Satan and all this was a lie. Like, no, it's nothing like that. And fun fact, Islam has a devil too. They have a concept of an evil being that helps you make poor decisions. Like, so, I mean, it wasn't explained like that, but I mean, it's not unique, I guess. And it's really like, I feel like everyone should have loose change as required viewing, because they had a section that I would like to fact check it, because they ran through a bunch of religions. They scrolled through a bunch of religions on the screen that I guess had a martyr type person for their lore or their story. And it could have been like a remix of Jesus or like a complete, but it's almost like how, what's it, one, two, three, four humans built pyramids on different parts of the earth without knowing about each other. They're like, oh, hey, let's build this. And, oh, look, okay, it's got to get smaller as we go up because it kind of falls over. So, I mean, that's just trial and error, like human nature. Like, we figured this out many, many times, just like everything. And every country is trying to be a silo and work in its own way. And it's great. We should celebrate our uniqueness and how we figured out how to overcome problems and problem solve. But at the same time, we should still show respect to other people, being like, you know what, this is how they solved it. That's pretty neat, or something like that. And internet, global interaction is already fixing to close that gap. However, I was lucky to be born in the United States of America. I stood on some pretty tall shoulders myself, just being, especially a white male. Like that is the jackpot if you had to be any type of physical attribute or something, and that's even blending too. Like now it's almost, it doesn't make sense to say African American because so many people are so far removed. Like, yes, there was a higher concentration of people that had a skin pigmentation of this that originated from this area just because of the conditions. I mean, it's just as possible that everybody was the same pigmentation and looked the same in the beginning, and it's a possibility we'll go back to that. Again, South Park for the win. They got an episode, they got these people from the future, and and they're all racist against them, and they hate them. They took our jobs. They took our jobs. Like, it's a hilarious episode, but and it's kind of scary. It's like, whoa, This could be what the future's heading to. And it's a bunch of people with lowriders, and they're all bald. They all are about the same skin color, and they speak a mix of every single language, just like they're belching out like "Blah," or something, and that means something. And then they run around and all the committing crimes and stuff, and like but even at that, like if you analyze that, they're coming in with no jobs. They're taking other people's jobs because you're increasing a population in an area that's been working to figure out how to make it livable for this population. And I know this is a big kind of like arguing against immigration, or especially illegal immigration, which I am against. Totally against illegal immigration. However, if we voted on programs and decided ways to have like pseudo citizen status or at least legal immigration processes, then I think that needs to be communicated because the way that all these numbers are portrayed, like the Haitians dumping them in cities and stuff, they're in a program documented and put on a pathway to citizenship or at least being able to work and contribute to this country. And the more they're able to work and contribute and pay their own way, the less animosity they're gonna have against everyone else. And I'm not saying that we should, like kneel to people that are coming here. Like they're coming here. They're not coming here because oh hey that might be a good idea. They're coming here because life sucks back home. Whatever they're going through, it's not America. Now America isn't that great, and we won't want to make America into the same situation. And that's why it kind of, I mean, I get upset too, thinking if people are doing voodoo and eating cats and dogs here in this country. However, I don't think that's happening. First of all, I think it's an exaggeration to drum up voter poll numbers. But even if it was true, and it is heartbreaking if it was true. We would catch the people that did it, everybody, and that's why we need to, and that ties into the other thing, start slowly releasing all the nonviolent offenders from lockup. That, if they didn't hurt anyone else, they're just hurting themselves. Like mostly, like I'm talking like drug abuse or drug use or possession, paraphernalia, manufacturing, cooking, dealing. Like Tim Allen, major drug trafficker with cocaine. A lot of people don't know that. I love Tim Allen. He's a great actor. He's done a lot of really great things. He'd be dead under Trump, and I hate that. And that's almost an exaggeration, almost not. People like him would be executed under Trump's reform for giving. He wants to reinstate the death penalty for things like that. Sorry, and I know I rant about that a lot, but it's like, but context. Because when I first heard even that from Mr. Donald Trump there, um, I thought, oh my God, he wants to turn around. He's gonna kill that lady that he just pardoned. And I even said that on the X app a couple times. Like, look at this fool. He's gonna kill the lady he just pardoned, which isn't true. When you look at the actual interview, he talks about how, oh well, she wouldn't do it now. I mean, if that was the penalty, then people would just make the choice not to commit the crime because he doesn't understand why people commit crime. People commit crime out of desperation or their situation, whether it's real or perceived. They see some yokel in Hollywood that all they did is land a good acting career, and now they've got millions of dollars, and they're laughing at you. They're laughing at you because you're a little schmuck and you're not going to amount to anything. That's what it feels like, just seeing people successful. And it really doesn't help when they actually do go out and act like a jerk off. Like, sorry, I should keep this PG, but if they act like a jerk, there you go. I say prick, and I almost feel like prick's worse than jerk, but we're not going to say any actual swear words, because I don't let my kids say. But anyways, and they wave it in people's faces, like, ha, look at that poor person. And even that, it's a person taking a shortcut in the moment. They're trying to impress the girl they're with, or their boy, or whatever. Like, they're trying to act like they're hot stuff, and, and increase their chances at having a family and procreating and enjoying the human dream, because it's not just the American dream. It's the human dream. We all want to have a family or, have fun, experience holidays, like have a home, all these nice fun things. Go to an amusement park, go on a cruise, all that fun stuff that Americans get to easily think about. And other people that are getting bombed to crud, most likely from America, don't have to worry about. And see, even right there, and I'm definitely not supporting any acts of terror or anything on our country. Quite the opposite. I vote to help hunt all the people that would be doing that, or preventative blue team alleviate the problems that could possibly lead to such a situation. Like what could drive somebody to attack? And a lot of it is misunderstandings. It is. It's more like, oh wait, I didn't know Americans were not all that bad. And you know how I know? Because I've had people from several other countries tell me exactly that. Be like, "You're not all that bad," and then I go, "You know what? You too." And I cannot tell you how many times I've had that conversation. Like, it's like, "Oh, I thought all Americans were this, but no, you're." I mean, first thing they notice, like, "Oh, you're just as poor as me." Like, yeah, thanks. And I work real hard. I always have, but at the height of my college career, I was pretty poor. I mean, the only reason I had money is because I was working and making moves. So, yeah. And then that got taken away pretty quick too. We'll talk all about it in the super ultra VIP premium whatever. Just kidding, but I'm not gonna randomly blurt it out on. Plus, I need to make sure that it happens after I'm able to talk to my kids about it. Because out of context, it might sound pretty bad. Oh, and anyways, the original Joker, the OJ, not the OJ like that was on Lethal Weapon or not Lethal Weapon, Naked Gun, but the original Joker in my world. So I always called myself the Joker growing up. Like I thought that was just the coolest character to be. Not because he did crime, but because he just always was like about didn't make sense. Like he would commit crimes, but like he was like attacking the rich and he was like a Robin Hood. And the idea of Robin Hood is just so glorified too. You got Men in Tights, hilarious Mel Brooks movie. And then also you got the animal cartoon of Robin Hood. And that was just so awesome. Like he's stealing from that rich king that's flaunting his riches, like living high on the hog and doesn't have a care in the world while, all these people and it made the Robin Hood people look really good when in reality they were covered in filth, trash, like who knows what, and like living homeless, like, housing insecure, like in gutters and stuff, and then, and robbing and giving to other people that have it even worse off than them. They're using the gifts that they have from whatever creator, again, like we're keeping this secular or however you want to say it, any one size fits all for religion too. Let's see, and I can only do so much. Let's see, don't fall. But we're building the original memorial to my dad, the OJ in my life, the original Joker. Because he had a sense of humor. He saw things that like would just squash beefs, fix problems. He was a thinker, really big thinker. And and I hope that if there is an afterlife and he's up there, I think he'd be proud of this nonsense. He'd have some questions, for sure. He would have some questions. But, at the end of the day, and that's how I try to live my life, is like, would my family be proud? Would I bring honor to my ancestors? Which, funny enough, that's, Mulan and like, Asian culture and like to a T, they're worried about, and not trying to make over generalizations, but a lot of people are worried about, would my ancestors be proud? Or is my family proud currently? You know, and mine is, more or less. uh, Yeah, no, my dad passed away a long time ago. That's why I always include him on these things. I have a buddy that passed away when we were 18 in high school. He was actually a football teammate too. Spoke at his funeral and like that just crosses my mind a lot. Like whenever things are hard for me, I just remember my buddy. Like, he doesn't have any of this, the good or the bad. Like, I mean, granted, yeah, he doesn't have to suffer through all the like the horrible stuff, but at the same time, without any reference, like his life just ended there. I mean, it wasn't all that great. I mean, yeah, he was playing football. He was doing okay in school. I don't know if he was actually going to college or if he was sticking around. Not that you have to go to college. Let's see, that's another thing. Is like, I used to give this one guy a hard time. I mean, I still do. We only recently made up, but like, you know, for not going to college, which, whatever. Like, college is expensive. It's a gambling. Even if you put in all that work and effort, because anybody can do it. Even if your grades were horrible in high school, like, you just might have to go through some extra hoops. Like, so. But it is a sensitive subject for people that didn't do too well, and understandably so. Me, I don't know. I was always a spaz and I always did good. So I just made sure I knew what was being asked of me, and then I did exactly that, just like a computer, no more, no less. No, I mean, and of course you try to take shortcuts. I feel like everybody does until they realize that it's just not worth it. I mean, it's so much easier, especially with like AI and ChatGPT now. Like, yeah, you could have ChatGPT write something for you, but don't try to use it and pass it off as you because it's just going to come out one day. And this is harder for anybody in their teens or 20s because the prefrontal cortex, your decision maker, which relates your decisions to memory. Whoops. So you can use past experiences, which again, you don't have a lot of past experiences if you're this age too. Something else to keep in mind. But by that time, it's easier to link past experiences to your current decisions that you're making. So, is this about it? Okay, I gotta go back and fix the rest of them, but I only got so much dirt too. So, then I just recently had one of my closest friends' dads pass away, and then also my co-parents' dad. So it was like a couple of really close deaths close to home, and they were both just medical things. Like I mean, it wasn't like they got gunned down in a blaze of glory. They were both ex-military, like earned a lot of respect while living opposite ends of the political spectrum. So that's interesting. And different branches too. We got Air Force and Marines. My dad was Army. Um, I was supposed to be Marines, but they don't like it when you smoke the funny funny. um, so I'm not trying to brag about that. Like I disappointed my family at that point for sure. For what it mattered though too. Like I mean, my grandpa was a soldier, but he was dead before I was born. So I never really got to talk to him to figure out what would disappoint or make him proud. And even then, it's in that moment too. Like, if you think about it on a macro level of like someone's accomplishments, if you looked at them, like imagine you're opening up a book and be like, okay, so here's some rough parts. Here's where you're kind of, and maybe you didn't have the guidance to understand that that wasn't really acceptable or something. Or maybe you needed a little extra whatever. I mean, it's completely understandable. I mean, it doesn't mean everybody's going to have to put up with it. I mean, they might pass you off, but at the same time, you know, and you might have to struggle a bit. Everybody struggles. I mean, it's not, nobody's just born perfect, like, oh yeah, I know everything to do, I'm good. That just doesn't happen. Even Jesus took 30 years of being a carpenter and who knows what. He probably did all sorts of raunchy things, like stupid things. Like, maybe not raunchy. That might be I'm not trying to upset people. Be like, he was a good person. Well, yeah, when he wrote the books. And actually when people talked about him. So it's not even him. But, you know. And let's not forget Mary Magdalene, his wife. uh, it's an uncomfortable subject for some people because if her word was to be taken in, because I'm reading a book that actually talks about it, analyzes her gospel. I'd like to read her actual gospel, but I think about that's as much fun as reading the actual Bible, and that's not really, because I mean it's so complicated, overly complicated. Like we don't talk like that anymore. We don't because it's stupid. Like you can talk, you can just cut the crud and communicate a lot more effectively than yes, doth thou this and that and oh prithee and like and I make fun of it and I don't mean any disrespect to them either because again that's like of the times it made sense. Well, we're not of those times now. It's a new era and we're doing online voting. Ka-chow. Pretty soon it's coming. Like and the cool thing and I keep narrowly missing talking about this, but the reason I know is because right now like there's a lot of people that are starting to get excited about this. They're starting to at least get interested. Like, wait, what are you talking about? Or explain that a little better. And it's mostly Republican MAGA on the X app. And I don't judge. I mean, I think there's a lot of good things that Donald Trump would do. There's a lot of bad things too. And I think overall, none of it really, really matters because Congress is all going to do this. And we're so gridlocked in our own way of ways that it's going to be slow to get anything done. However, we are seeing change. Both sides want to legalize cannabis now, and that's a big one. That was really one of the biggest reasons we even had crime was because not because like weed makes you do illegal things, but yet it kind of does. It's what we do to you if we catch you with weed that makes you do illegal things. You now have a harder time getting a job. You get fired from your job. Like if you get caught smoking weed and like if it comes up in a UA, you get fired from your job. People mad about vaccines for the military getting fired from their job. Guess what? If you get caught smoking the stanky stanky, you get fired from that job. You are no longer capable of serving your country. You get this dishonor for your family, dishonor all around. Like, for stanky stanky. That's it. You know, stupid like things that just make you giggle. Anyways, I mean, if you're not careful, it could be dangerous. Like, don't drive. Like, that's a given. Don't drive when you're doing anything. Like, any mind alternating thing, you know, especially drinking, though. And drinking is easily way more dangerous than everything. Every cop I've talked to, I ask them, I'm like, or at least I try to. I'm like, what's your opinion on this? If you had to pick one, like, who do you like dealing with more? Unanimous. People that are stoned. I mean, they still arrest them. They still take them. You got to go sober up because you shouldn't be driving. I mean, that's just irresponsible. Now, did that thing just jump and glitch? Anyways, I don't know. Oh, there's the alarm. But anyways, yeah, let me just finish that thought because they're more peaceful on average, like, and that's no joke. Like, they're a lot less likely to attack you. They're more like, oh man, bummer, and then I'm going to jail. It's more of one of those, or they start freaking out or whatever. But almost always, now if you get some drunk person, they got some nerve. They're like, "Pfft, I don't care. I could go punch the devil and I'll be fine. Like, or I could go punch the ogre or dragon or just go punch somebody, but punch a cop. Yeah, they probably would swing on a cop. Why not? They could take on the world. Like, alcohol does some amazing things to rot your brain temporarily and then even permanent if you use it habitually for prolonged periods of time. You get what's known as the wet brain. And so, again, I think you can even come back from that with time and healing, but that wet brain's no joke, and it makes you do some stupid things for a while. So, anyways, we're getting pretty far. We're gonna finish these columns, and I don't know where. Like, I think this might just be like a walkway, and then we could even like have them like on these posts here, so they could see. Because I think this is like one of the most beautiful places I've seen. It reminds me a lot of back home, like all snow covered and like mountains. Like these are even kind of small mountains for Buena Vista has gorgeous mountains. That's why it's called Good View in the Spanish. So, but I think this would be a great like memorial. And then also maybe, I mean, I hope they could like kind of see around anyway. Like they could see this. So that's a cool view. Act like it's skiing. Woo! All right. Well, ta-ta for now. I will see you in the next one. Oh wait. Oh no. Ah. There we go. All right. See you in the next one.